Namaskar. I'm Kumar Akes and you're watching Global Governance News TV. And today we're going to discuss who is the best for Bharat, Rus or Ukraine, and how just Bharat is going. And today is the good news for both Russia and Ukraine. Uh, from Bharat, we can just say, we should claim, after talking to, have a good, nice talk with Putin by our Prime Minister of Bharat, Narendra Modi, situation is going to be just uh, okay now, we can say. So Putin calls on the Ukrainian military to end the resistance and turn on their leaders. So this is good news for just from war to peace. And Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday and today called on Ukraine military to end resistance and turn on their leaders. So speaking at the Friday Security Council meeting, Putin claimed that most Ukrainian military units are reluctant to engage the Russian forces. He said the units offering resistance are mostly volunteer battalions made up of the right-wing Ukrainian nationalists. However, he did not offer any evidence to support his claims. Russian Defense Ministry said its forces had captured the strategic Hostomel aerodrome just 7 kilometers, 4 miles northwest of the Ukrainian capital Kyiv and landed paratroops in the area. More than 200 people were eliminated from the Ukrainian special units in operation. It added, the ministry claimed the Russian military had blocked access to Kyiv from the west, and separatist forces in east Ukraine had attacked Ukrainian army positions with Russian army support. The Russian military said they will not take the strike residential area of Kyiv. That's a nice point. They will not just attack on the residential area. A nice one. Russian missiles pounded the capital and some parts of the country as the Russian forces pressed their advance in the early hours of Friday today, and following which several families were rushed to shelters. And Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky pleaded with the international community to do more, saying sanctions announced so far not enough. The sailing set off the two of the fighting of the Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the military operations in Ukraine. Earlier, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky said 137 people, including 10 military officers, had been killed and 316 injured so far. And we know Indian students also the appeal to Indian government and the government of India doing the whatever they can best. And now already the Kremlin statement Putin tells China that Russia is ready to talk with Ukraine. And I think government of India also should claim, but why not they're claiming that it's a internal issue, how the Prime Minister Narendra Modi called to talk to Putin yesterday. I think that made a good response for that. This may be the global politics, part of global politics. So, but we are going to discuss today on this issue, how just which is the best for the Bharat, either Russia or Ukraine. We have the esteemed panelist, Vandana Jhiganji from Chicago, Alok Laharji from Spain, Shivaji Sarkar from Bharat. So I start from Shivaji. How just you see do you think there is any positive notes from the Putin today to Ukraine after talks to our Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Putin yesterday? Unmute yourself, please. Shivaji, unmute yourself, please. Yeah, please.
Yes. Now you see, there are certain positive developments, but the problem is developments are positive, but basically I think it has been the failure of the US. Instead of becoming a global super, now they are virtually they have become a small pussycat. So when they mew, nobody listens. Had they had taken a little more interest in the beginning itself, the situation that escalated during the last 2 days wouldn't have happened. Now, another thing we find that in Russia itself, there is quite a bit opposition against Putin. So now Putin also will have to think of whether he should remain adamant on skeleting the situation or should go back with his troops. One thing definitely is, I believe, whatever the situation was, it was definitely not at a point where there should have been such flagration. It was not desirable, not even I think the situation demanded. Either Putin was too scared of US or he just wanted to show his muscles. Either way, I believe he has committed a mistake. You see, almost after Second World War, this is the first time that there has been such a armed conflict. I won't say conflict even. You are only firing the arms, you are not even getting it back. Has happened in Ukraine. So this was avoidable because Ukraine has a small army, it is not a large army. And I think it was also not very wise on the part of the Ukrainian president that he also did not read the mood of his own people.
Actually, Sivaji, you're right. Just how the Putin today has said, Ukraine should not reacted like that. Whatever they reacted with the army and all the army personnel, just they're going to instigate the local, the citizen of Ukraine. Vandanaji, how just role of NATO yesterday, the president of US, Mr. Biden, just appeal to the country and the nation about this, their stand, and how just you analyze the statement only. You see the statement of Mr. Boris Johnson from UK. They just called his parliament for the past unanimously resolution just to support Ukraine. But on the ground, we have not just seeing and visualizing the support to the Ukraine. Only statement are there from the NATO. So how just you see the complete scenario? And number two, do you think I think after talking to the Prime Minister of Bharat, Narendra Bhai Modi, too, with Putin, so some today situation is changed. Putin has come to just for the war to peace to talk on the table.
Namaskar, or the co-panelist, and Kumar Rakeshji. I just shared one video with you from our former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, because
Okay,
there's a lot of talk that people are saying there's a party politics, but she belonged to the Democratic Party itself. We
okay.
all know that. So if you play, so she has definitely talked
We
about.
can, we can, we
Yeah,
can.
she has definitely talked about, and which is we have been saying from day one. Like, you are so much concerned about what's happening 10,000 miles away, like, but you're not concerned about the nation that you're, because in less than a year's time, it's almost just 1 year, and we have seen two nations they apply, to be honest. One is Afghanistan, and the another one is this Ukraine. And what was the need for Ukraine to have a NATO alliance? Because this itself is an instigation from the country that have been like, there is no need. And if Putin is trying to protect their own nation, to be honest, about why there should be. And she is very, because she is a decorated means active duty, because they've been called for. She has served. When I'm talking about Tulsi Gabbard, I have high respect and regard from. She is the first congresswoman, because name says Tulsi, but she is not of an Indian origin. She took oath on Bhagavad Gita, and she lives Gita on every moment of her life, means so when we hear from these people, like, there should not have been any politics about it. You just mentioned that Prime Minister Modi, because, and the subject line of today, who is the friend of Bharat, for is it Ukraine or Russia? Ukraine has proved over time, I mean, like, over time and again, like when it was United Nations Security Council meeting, when it was about the nuclear thing, and Ukraine has been supplying. See the irony. Ukraine has been supplying arms to Pakistan, the rogue nation which is next to Bharat. And today, where is Pakistani Prime Minister standing? He's standing with, oh yeah, what a moment.
But sorry, Vandanaji. Sorry to actually there is so many messages and the news about the Ukraine and Bharat has been just spread in social media. So I cross check from some experts. There is only one factor there is correct. One of the on the just 1998 when our Pokhran test was there. So with the all country. Ukraine was against Bharat. Apart from that, the supply to the Al Qaeda. If he support the Al Qaeda, I think no any way US can't support them. Could not support on the just term of Al Qaeda. Just selling the arms to the Pakistan. They are also selling arms to Bharat, and Bharat also just sharing some things. There are 4 or 5 facts I cross check, and he is never against for the UN Security Council votes also. They also cross check the fact. But one fact was good and correct was there on the just Pokhran test when the nuclear test was there. They did not support us. That's one point. So that's I think try to correct it. Thank you. Unmute yourself, Vandana.
Thank you so much for updating. Because in today's time, that fact check and stuff like that, for those
That's
kind of
right.
things,
That's
yeah,
right.
that's like,
Yeah.
because
As
it is.
also
And we are seeing, because Russia, when it was earlier crisis, so Russia supported Bharat openly. And it was actually the most crucial part was for Bharat, where should they stand, to be honest? Like, means because if Bharat stays loyal, in a sense, loyalty to the friend, the old friend, because otherwise we will be giving room to China to get more closure to Russia, and which is not good for and healthy for Bharat, to be honest. And staying neutral, because new paradigm shifts are happening, new world order is coming. We all know that everybody is talking about it, and it's every moment the situation is changing. It's a wait and watch, because so many people of Russian origin, those who are living in Ukraine, it's the same, because this country is not been divided too long ago. This was part of Russia, so their families are still there. So that's why that they said will not be targeting the human lives. And you talked about the protest. We are seeing it because this has become a practice in today's time. Human rights have like wherever they are, they're ready to jump without doing any analysis from them. Like, the meaning, the dictionary meaning of human is they see as per their convenience, and that's why you are seeing some tiny bit protest here and there in favor of, in support of Ukraine, because the people are innocent, to be
just
honest.
Vandana, just you send the video. Just try to listen to how the Tulsi Gabbard just said shared her view on the Ukraine issue. Just listen for that 2 minutes video, and then we'll later on then go discussion.
President Biden could end this crisis and prevent a war with Russia by doing something very simple, guaranteeing that Ukraine will not become a member of NATO. Because if Ukraine became a member of NATO, that would put U.S. and NATO troops directly on the doorstep of Russia, which, as Putin has laid out, would undermine their national security interests. The reality is that it is highly, highly unlikely that Ukraine will ever become a member of NATO anyway. So the question is, why doesn't President Biden and NATO leaders actually just say that and guarantee it? Which begs the question of why are we in this position then? If the answer to this and preventing this war from happening is very clear as day, and really it just points to one conclusion that I can see, which is they actually want Russia to invade Ukraine. Why would they? Because number one, it gives the Biden administration a clear excuse to go and levy draconian sanctions, which are a modern day siege against Russia and the Russian people. And number two, it cements this Cold War in place. The military-industrial complex is the one that benefits from this. They clearly control the Biden administration. Warmongers on both sides in Washington have been drumming up these tensions. If they get Russia to invade Ukraine, then again, it locks in this new Cold War. the military-industrial complex starts to make a ton of more money than they have been in fighting Al-Qaeda or making weapons for Al-Qaeda. And who pays the price? The American people pay the price. The Ukrainian people pay the price. The Russian people pay the price. It undermines our own national security. But the military-industrial complex that controls so many of our politicians wins, and they run to the bank.
Just you listen the how the just reaction and just share the view the Tulsi Gabbard on the affairs of U.S. affairs and how she reacted. So Alok ji, just Vandana ji already shared this video, and just we try to listen the crux of um, uh, the lady Tulsi Gabbard, just claimed to be pro Bharat, and but sorry to say, in 2018, when World Hindu Congress was going to organize, she first announced she will come. After that, she just withdraw herself. That is a different issue. But now, whatever she reacted about the just Al Qaeda and all issue, how just you analyze her statement?
Good evening, Kumar Rakesh ji and Vandana Jingran ji. Also, good evening to our viewers. What we just heard and Tulsi Gabbard, she just mentioned about it, I think she's making a lot of sense. We have to understand that, President Biden, who financed his presidential campaign, and it is no secret that it were the companies which make weapons. They were the ones who actually financed his campaign. Why? Because the earlier president, he was against war, and probably he was one of the few presidents of the United States of America. I'm talking about President Trump, who did not wage any war any place. On the contrary, he even made the Arab world signed a peace accord along with Israel, and there were other things which he did. And so obviously he was not the favorite with the war making machinery. Now what happens with what has happened? She's very clear about what she's saying is that once that war starts, first of all, they have started a war, in the backyard of Russia. They made two brotherly nations start a fight against each other. If this war goes on, what is going to happen, and it is also not in the favor of Russia, is that commando tactics would start in, and which is not a very fine way of. So I think in case President Biden says this, that Ukraine will never become part of NATO, which he's not going to do. I really have my doubts that he's going to do, because come what may, whatever happens, even without firing a shot, America has brought trouble into the backyard of Russia. I mean, there's no denying that. Russia and Ukraine will never have the same relationship like India and Nepal have, and this is the kind of relationship they were enjoying. So I think she makes a lot of sense. And as far as, I was analyzing that when you mentioned about, Xi Jinping talking to President Putin, and then he stretched his hand towards Ukraine. I think before that, Modi ji also talked to him. And it is very interesting to note that most of the press, which is reporting that after Xi Jinping talked with President Putin, he has extended his hand of friendship towards Ukraine. We should not forget that, they were the same country. They are like brothers and sisters. So, it is not that we prefer one country towards the other country. It was the same country. Like, it's only now that, after Volodymyr Zelensky has been put into the presidency, that it has gone closer to the European Union. But I think my viewpoint is that Americans and the Europeans, they've played mischief, and they've made,
Alok just I'm just trying to add the statement. I think the Indian Express reported by the Reuters, and Reuters, so Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready to send a delegation to Minsk for negotiation with representative of Ukraine. the Kremlin said, this is the name of the Kremlin. How is correct? I don't know, but I'm the quoting. The Indian Express reporting 2027 IST 25th February by the Reuters. They are quoting Reuters. That's why some media is just carrying the news, but they did not mention the name of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But I think, we hope and presume that is also because how just they talked or not, that is not mentioned here. So Russian leader held a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Putin told Xi that the Russia military operation in Ukraine is necessary to protect people against genocide. So Kremlin said the accusation the West call baseless propaganda. So that we can understand how the media is playing. We can another discussion on the role of media, how they are playing just counter Bharat and a different way. That is also uh, is a matter. So just you are trying to mention. So Shivaji, now just take how just you see the how the Reuters quoted, how the Kremlin quoted for the Chinese premier, but now already the Reuters is not quoting like that. How the Prime Minister, Bharat Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked to Putin. So how just you analyze now in the two way, who get
You see,
credit wise?
I don't know anybody can take any credit. There are more discredits to everyone. So what credit, I don't know. Of course, the Prime Minister has talked, but even our External Affairs Ministry hasn't come out with the details of it exactly like that.
Yeah.
So we if Reuters is reporting something, but they are not mentioning India. We can't presume that it can be India also. So let us not go into that. Let us not go into taking credits. But the issue is, yesterday the UK Prime Minister was also saying, and I believe that the way they were talking, the way US has been talking, and they were talking just, and I agree with Tulsi that they want this Cold War to escalate because you see the entire Middle East crisis that has happened from Afghanistan to virtually the borders of Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
Yemen included,
So,
Syria,
so
and
Shivaji,
all other areas.
I'll come to you again after the small break, and then we'll just continue about this discussion. Welcome to break. Vandanaji, how does Shivaji saying? Does he agree with the Tulsi statement, whatever she made a statement? But how just you see the statement of USA regarding this one, and they are only just I think say the paper exercises is a statement, but US and UK has not the played the active role just to support Ukraine, and how this is going to be the mode of peace with the all way.
Actually, the President Biden has been saying from day one that we'll not be sending our troops on the ground, and we will provide you all the logistic supports. That he has made it clear, because there is so much, and we all know that about his rating, which has been going down day by day. So he may wanted to prove that by doing this act, but that has gone the way they thought of it. It has gone in the other way. Actually, it has gone, means it has not been taken positively. It is taken by very negatively. What is the role for us? Why do we have to do it? When we're talking about democracy, like, and she very clearly said that, like, you're talking about democracy, you yourself, the person, those who are the media, those who talks about, you shut them off. So what is the democracy? Like, don't make a joke of it, like, and another very important component that one has to realize, President Biden has been coming and doing an address, because this is a practice that we have it. Our sitting president always does it on an everyday basis. And he's been coming, and it has been always a monologue. He comes, delivers, and turns his back towards the reporters, and he goes back. In the White House briefing, I'm talking about. The yesterday briefing, if somebody has watched it out of you all, you must have seen how the news reporters categorically, many times, they asked him about the sanctions. Yeah, we are imposing. we are imposing. So that itself was like, imposing what, like, because it will, you will see it over a long period of time. And we all know that what
Like the
sanction,
Rajiv Gandhi whole statement, dekh rahe hain, dekhenge, like that.
what the sanctions meant for United States, USSR, to
Russia.
be honest, Russia, to be honest. And we all know that Russia has been used to the sanctions from last few decades now. So because they have a partner, China, so I mean they can work out with these things. So that is not, because if it is needed. And then there was a talk about the SWIFT, like, about the freezing of the accounts and stuff like that. And Russia has been smart over a period of time. Their investment, like, in US, they said like we will try to freeze that and all. They have already reduced it, like, it's not that what it used to be. So they are playing very safe. And I think Ukraine should have been smart, like, uh, as we say, somebody instigates you, we are with you, we are with you, सारे लोग मोहल्ले में दोस्त खड़े हो जाते हैं ना, तुम लड़ो, हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं, हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं. When it comes, उसको तो भिड़ा दिया है.
Just like Vandana ji, you are saying just a statement of Mr. Zelensky is coming now. He is alone now. Nobody is supporting. Only being the mouth practice and whatever saying that nobody is coming to support. Only making the statement. Only criticizing. Alok ji,
Bhaiya ji, that's what I'm trying to tell you. We
yeah,
know that as a
the
kids,
statement
when
of the Ukrainian president
I haven't seen
saying,
it
"I am
because
alone now."
So he's been
Openly.
asking help. He's been asking support from each and every one. So he should have it. That is what I'm saying. In today's time, every nation, because this is a lesson from all the people living in Bharat that they keep criticizing, because why nobody's been able to look up to
Yeah.
India with an eye to eye, because India is becoming very strong after 2014. And that should be the need of today's time, because we don't know when the paradigm shift can happen, and which has
Yeah.
been happening. Like, because these people, Ukraine, everybody knows, I think, they hire, if I want to go and say that I want to be serving for Ukraine, they will hire me. So how that you fight with your head or heart? Indian soldiers, when we're talking about the
There
soldiers
are
from Bharat,
difference. There are also differences of opinion in European Union for just action for the Russia action against Russia.
why? Because this they depend on Russia. Let this be Germany, because
So,
65%
so,
of
so Alok ji, how just Council of Europe is just suspended Russia, that is different issue. But how the difference opinion in European Union also, although they are trying to advocate, and most of the European country as member of NATO. This is so just a tricky situation. Alok ji, unmute yourself, Alok ji.
Definitely, they are member of NATO, but that does not mean that they have, a similar opinion. I mean, for example, Vannaji mentioned that they want to, kick Russia out of the SWIFT, which is there. Like we all know that when the banking transactions take place, one side we have IBAN, and the other side we have the SWIFT. Now, who is going to be the biggest loser in case there is Russia is kicked out? Any kind of business where the SWIFT is utilized, United States of America gets a cut out of that. And the second thing is that in case there's a lots of, let's say, countries like Italy and Germany, they have lots of stakes. They also sell to Russia. So in case Russians cannot pay them back, what is going to happen? I mean, these countries, they'll have a direct impact on their economy. Same with, if you have seen French president, he went there and he talked to Putin, and same with Germany, they were, taking a backseat onto this. And why were they doing it? Because they are not in tune with what United States of America was saying. And United States of America, like, what have they done? They've done nothing. They just pumped up, Volodymyr Zelensky, and they told him, we'll make you the president, and then you become part of the European Union and everything. And this poor man, he took it for granted that he's going to get the American support. Right now, who is standing with Ukraine? I'm talking real standing. It is not just, mouth service. At least with Russia, there are other countries which are standing, but there are countries like India who are not showing where they're standing, but almost everybody knows where the inclination of India is. It is not to say that we don't want to be with Ukraine. I think people of India are with the people of Ukraine, because at the end of the day, we don't see any difference between the Russians and the Ukrainians as far as people to people connection is concerned, and they would be the biggest sufferer, be it people of Ukraine or be it people of Russia. They are going to be the. I think the Ukrainians would be, you know, be would be having most of the suffering. But we have to also keep in mind that Ukraine is not a small country. Like right now, the narrative is it's a small country being bashed up by a very big country. Okay, Russia is a very big country, but Ukraine is the second biggest country in the Europe. In Europe, we have to keep that in mind. Also, on armed force basis, is the 22nd biggest army it has in the world. So it is not that it's a small country. What has happened is, I think they calculated everybody, I think starting from President Biden to the president of Ukraine, they calculated that, Russia is already on their knees and they can do whatever they feel like. It is not like this. Russia is a different Russia. When Putin has come into power, the economy was bad, but they are now standing on their feet. They don't care. And they must have done their calculations about how much they're going to lose in case any kind of economic sanctions are put on them. I mean, just imagine a small country like Korea. What has happened to it after the economic sanctions? Or Iran? Even India was under economic sanctions. What has
Yeah, from
happened?
USA.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They don't work. So in case President Biden was actually with them, he should have sent his troops. Why is he not doing it? He's not doing it because they've already seen what happened in in Afghanistan, and with the seed of peace which was sown by President Trump. He cannot go, against, because the public opinion is against war world over. Russian
Yeah.
people also don't want it. President Putin has said, we don't want war. We are just taking, protective measures. And a very funny thing is that whenever America goes to any country, it is liberation. When Russia goes to any country, it is invasion. So now this double standard has to go away. Let's say if Americans go to Syria, why is it liberation? Or they go to Iraq and they tell the whole world that they have weapons of mass destruction, then it is saving Iraqi people. You have destroyed that country. So now we cannot come up and they say, they have annexed this and they have annexed that. For God's sake, it was part of Russia. They liberated. They said, okay, go ahead and make your own country. But at least if they're saying don't get NATO forces to our borders, I think they're just protecting their own borders. The unfortunate part is that come what may, it is the people of, both the countries. Finally, what will happen? Both the leaders will sit and there will be peace, because no wars are won unless you sit on the table. What is going to happen? A mother is going to lose his son. A woman is going to lose his husband, and some children are going to lose their parents. So this is finally what is going to happen, and this is unfortunate. So in case it can be avoided, taking into account what Ms. Gabbard said, and in case President Biden has this force, moral force or political force to go ahead and say, okay, we take this guarantee that Ukraine will not join NATO, I think things would settle down very quickly, and lots of lives would not be
You're
lost.
right. So Alokji, just Sivaji, and this last question, last round, just asking to Sivaji, Vandanaji, and Alokji, and the last one. Do you think the situation is going to be very soon the mild and solved, as just an indication today from Putin?
You see, creating a problem is always easy. Solution is not that easy. It will take time to sort it out, because you see, number one, if you take it from the side of Biden, as Alokji was saying and Badanaji was saying, he is under the pressure of the arms lobbies because he doesn't want a war. And unless there is a war, arms can't be sold. Russia has also done the same thing almost. They also want to sell arms. That is the only industry that has virtually thrived there. So the issues are very difficult. Another thing I believe, the president of Ukraine, he virtually lacked the basic diplomatic sense.
True.
Had he had
That's right.
the little bit
That's the
of
point.
diplomatic
That's
sense,
the
the
point. Yeah.
situation could not have escalated to this level. Third thing, what India does, India can have a role. I don't see virtually India having any role there.
No, but sir,
What
yesterday
India can really do except some
Prime Minister
pep
Bharat
talk.
already talked to Putin. This is the
That is
first
all you
Indian
can
premier
do.
all over the
If
world
they
to talk
listen,
to Putin.
fine. If they listen, it is fine. If they don't listen, we can't do anything.
Sir, what
No,
did
but
the
the
That is all the
ambassador
thing
of
team
is.
Ukraine
initiated?
also was pleading that Modi ji should talk to President Putin. I mean, this
Yeah,
is on record. There is a press conference which was given by the ambassador of Ukraine,
Ukraine. Ukraine
Yes, yes,
pleading to the government of India and
absolutely.
Modi ji that they should pick
But
up the
one
phone and talk
thing,
to Putin.
Alok ji,
Yeah.
basically what I observe, that the ambassador of each of the countries in different countries, they have been speaking the same language everywhere. So we can think it in a different way, but that was exactly not so. They were trying to have a global support from wherever they can have, which they were not really having. That is it. Talking to Putin, of course, is a natural desire for anybody who is oppressed there. But the issue is, why should Putin listen to India? What is the reason he has to listen to
but sir,
India?
the matter
India
of
has
fact,
more stakes in Russia. You see, India has more stakes in Russia than Russia has been in India. You
that's the
see,
point. That
Russia
is the
now
one
treats
major
India
point.
and Pakistan almost at par. Okay, he's
No,
selling arms to
Pakistan is no role,
both the
sir.
countries.
Pakistan is not no way.
So,
Pakistan.
so we should not feel too much elated. Of course, we feel happy when we are given some importance. That much is fine. But thinking that India can have a very important role or very significant role or the powers to intervene, I don't think we have that much of powers
Okay,
as of
Vandana ji,
now.
do you think that there's a Bharat is some role just to for the intervene? As the Prime Minister of Bharat, Narendra Bhai Modi, the first person, the global leader who just uh, unmute, Vandana ji, unmute yourself.
We all know that he's been invited on various different platforms, even Bharat not being the member, let this be G7 and other G20 like meetings. So because they are seeing India being a powerful, and he has carried himself very responsibly as the prime minister of one of the largest democracy. So that is why they're thinking that if he intervenes, like it's not going to be intervention, it is going to be like, you talk to some person to ease out the situation. But
Initiation for the peace, just we
yeah,
can say.
yeah. So, and India does enjoy the reputation of non-violence. We all know that. That is another reason. Vice would have been, it would have been wiser if Zelensky should have refused, like, I don't want NATO. The things what we are discussing today, we have been discussing something else. Like, you should not be like, अपने दोस्तों के like कंधों पे देखे, you have to see how broad and strong your own shoulders are, not depending on your neighbors and friends like those who
Others,
claim
yeah.
and they don't show up. I think this is a very strong, means like a message for all other nations that they have to be strong within themselves. Then only, like, it's because it's like in the month of February 2022, we are learning this. I think this sends a very strong message, to be
Okay.
honest.
Just Shivaji is
Just a
going
one
to,
liner.
please,
I
please.
think this particular incident is also a warning to all such countries which have not very good neighborhood around. And that is what, that no country should take up arms to another one and then suffer. This is a great warning and a lesson for all such countries. I
No,
think
that is
how the
that is
conflict is to be
Shivaji.
avoided,
Shivaji,
how conflict is to
as
be
a matter of
avoided,
the
that is the
arms
lesson we
dealing.
learn from there. Yes, please.
No,
Thank you.
no, thank you. As a matter of the arms dealing and arms selling and the arms market, that's different issue. But how just today Putin reacted for Ukraine? We are not going to just acquire and just invade Ukraine one, and we're not going to on the on residential area. Are not going to bombing two. Number three, Ukraine should understand their capacity, what they are. Number three, so many ease out, so many soft statements by the Putin at the first time, last and many years. So I think we can understand how it will ease out and how just the soft statement from Putin for Ukraine. I think we can advocate and we can say that is for the peace, not for the war. So nice of you. Thank you. And just we participate in this show and we carry on hope for the best, for the peace and non-violence, either from the Ukraine, for the Russia, and the globally, as Bharat is only for the peace and non-violence, advocate also. So also you should give the thanks to just initiation as a global leader, our Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi just talked to Putin yesterday, and today we have seen some result for the peace and the betterment. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.